Megan is joining us from Oklahoma, and she's a former Marine who also served as a security guard for President George W. Bush. Hi, Megan. And I
Hi.
understand that despite your high profile career, you were really struggling on the inside. What was going on, and how did Hoffman help you change that?
Yes, ma'am. First off, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity and hello to both of you. When I joined the military, it was an escape. I was trying to figure out what I could do with my life. But I unfortunately went through the experience of military sexual trauma. I
Mm-hmm.
was also physically injured when I was in the Marine Corps. So I came out with pretty significant post-traumatic stress disorder. And so you layer that on top of my childhood traumas, and then I'm also a tribal citizen. I'm Muskogee Creek, and so you layer in the historical and generational traumas and all of that, and I was stuck. I was
Mm.
very stuck.
And what happened when you went to Hoffman?
So I had just prior to Hoffman, I had learned about meditation, about sensory awareness. So I was familiar with using that as a coping tool. But then I lost my dad to suicide.
Mm.
And it opened up all of the wounds all over again. I was very much right back in the midst of all the PTSD, flashbacks, nightmares, everything. I was even struggling just to get out to go to the grocery store. I mean, my whole life was just derailed. And so my mentor at the time, she told me about Hoffman. She told me that it would help. And I said, you know what? At the end of the day, what I've been doing, it kind of works, but I need something more. I need to do something to get unstuck. And so Hoffman really allowed me the space that I needed to reconnect to myself, and then also put myself back together, but in a way that, as you've already mentioned before, focused on love and on light. Because before that, I had three emotions, and I lived mostly in anger.
Mm. Anger, angrier, and most angry. Yes, yes.
Pretty much.
Wow. When you hear this, Raz, it makes you feel what? It makes you understand how you know the process works.
It makes me happy
Mm-hmm.
because that's why we're doing this. We're
Mm-hmm.
doing this so that people can be free. They can be more free, open, loving, and spontaneous. That's that's the rich life. And everyone, it's not by my standard, it's by your standard.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, I could see by the smile on your face, and I could feel the gratitude in your heart that you're living. Doesn't mean your life is perfect, but you're living you're living your life, not someone else's life.
And you've said, one of the things I love that you've said is that your goal is to help people to become more of
Right,
who they are instead of who they aren't.
right. And taking off on what we've just heard here, is that in her desperation, she tried putting on the uniform of a Marine
Yes,
to be all right, to
yes.
be tough, to be strong enough to withstand all the things that were hurting her. But it only got worse. It only got
And
worse.
that is what happens when people put on someone else's identity or put on the identity that they think they're supposed to have instead of being able to be fully whole in
And
themselves.
it's the false promise, perhaps of often, I would say, of our military, is that it takes young people who are trying to figure out,
Who
I'm
they are.
18, what does it mean to be an adult? And there's the idea that if I become a Marine,
Yes.
I'll be an adult. Or if I become a banker, or if I become an entrepreneur, or if I become this or whatever. And so much of what passes for adult life and accomplishment, in her case, it was a negative experience, but a lot of it is people's success. So many people are successful and not happy.
Absolutely.
Having the symbols of success is not enough.
Have you become more whole, Megan, as a part of this process?
I definitely believe so. I have had some pretty major career changes as a result. I went and I got my master's in social work. I'm now working on my PhD in psychology, and my focus is to create a wellness model for marginalized communities like tribal nations,
Wonderful.
especially for our veterans.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Raz says, the Hoffman process is over $6,000 a week, and many people, as we know, cannot afford that. $6,000 is a lot of money when you're just trying to make it, and even though you might want to be whole. So what do you have there for people who can't?
We have a very robust scholarship program. I believe Megan was a recipient of one of our scholarships. We like to have people who are receiving scholarships to have some skin in the game. So we want them to pay what they can. But we offer this for, in fact, Megan, I think, came in through our veterans program. And but also there's just these people who are holding the fabric of society together, our first responders, teachers, firemen. They don't earn the kind of money that can allow them to, or people who are in nonprofit organizations. They're doing great things for the culture, for the society, but they're not earning the kind of money. And it's not only the money, it's the time to take a week away.
I hear many people have said to you, especially, businessmen, wealthy guys, I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. And you say what to them?
Well, actually, I say you're one of the people who has control of your life. I say you're not a single mother of 2 kids waiting on tables in Omaha, Nebraska.
Right.
You are in charge, and you have control of your life. And what you need to do is prioritize yourself instead of squeezing you out of your life. Put yourself in the middle of your life, and organize yourself so that you can be the person you really want to be, who you really are.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I love that phrase that you're there helping people to become really who they are instead of who they aren't. Because I think one of the greatest compliments I ever received was a reporter who had interviewed me back in the 90s. And then in 2010, we did another interview. And she said, I remember you from this interview we did in Washington. And she said, you're the same, but you've just become more of yourself.
Beautiful.
And I said to her, I'm going to put that on my tombstone. If I had a tombstone, I'm going to be cremated. So therefore, but that you've become more of yourself. I think that's what we're all here to do, is to become more alive, more vibrant, more fully who we were meant to be. And I read that globally, 135,000 people have gone through this Hoffman process, and there are currently, 13 centers worldwide? What
Yes.
would you say is the secret behind the program's success?
Well, we don't do any marketing, so it's all word of mouth. And the secret behind the success is that the program works. I think as adults, we get to that point, many of us, where we say, I need to do some serious work on myself. There's something going on here.
Yeah.
I need to work on myself. And when people reach that point, what we want is when they start asking around and looking around, that Hoffman will come up as a really credible alternative.